Hey all, Chris Dorn here. Just want to talk a little bit about the Dorn Rig, which, if this isn't the original rig, somebody please correct me so I can give credit to where due. But essentially what it is a slider style jig head, a shaky head, or here I got kind of a football head jig with an offset worm hook. Mostly use walleye components, basically to give something different for bass. How I tie it essentially is I tie directly to the line to the jig. In this case, I take the beads and I string them on. I pick a color that'll work with the bait. Here I got a Angler's Choice Kill Shot, which is an awesome bait for bass, kind of a nice subtle leech type imitation. And when I put the beads on, what I go for is I want the blade to come kind of to near the end of the beads, but I don't want it to go past the beads because I don't want the blade to interfere at all with the jig head when the jig is falling. And then usually I'll put a bead in front of the clevis, and then the important thing that I've learned is I tie on a bobber stop, because initially what I was having happen is when it would drop, the blade would slide all the way up here and you won't get any action on the drop. So when I put the bobber stop on, it keeps the spinner blade from sliding down and it allows it to spin on the drop. Now it's a very simple rig. I'll tie it on fluorocarbon or braid, and then essentially I'll tie it to a swivel, which then I'll either tie direct to the swivel or use a snap to snap to my main line. I am thinking about pre-tying some of these rigs to a snap, because a lot of times I like using the snap for the plastics. So then I could tie directly to this, and then I could just change baits on the rig itself. For the beads, there's multiple places you can get them. Places like Bass Pro and Cabela's carry beads. If you don't have one or don't want to do an order from them, if you have a craft store nearby, you can go to the craft store and they got all sorts of beads. These happen to be beads from a craft store. As far as blades go, this one happens to be a Northland baitfish blade. I happen to have Cabela's around, and over the years I've ordered some. Mostly I've been using Colorado so far, but you can get willow blades, you can get Indiana blades, you can get some hatchet style blades. And if you look online, there's all sorts of specialty walleye blade guys, and those blades, some of the blades are just super cool and they're almost like artwork. So the blade options are endless. Essentially I've fished this thing like any other rig, but the only thing I've noticed is if you're fishing heavy grass, it will, it's not immune to grass just because of the blade. It will pick up a little bit more, so it's not quite as weedless as a standard Texas rig, but it does work good and give just a little bit of an extra flash, just a little something extra to bring the fish in. And also if you got tie it on with like a grub or you're fishing it off the bottom, in theory it looks like the grub is chasing a prey, so you kind of get the attraction on the soft bait, and then you also get the attraction of the spinner. One other thing, I haven't tried this on the water yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it next year, is I went with kind of the rig on a swim bait. So I got a Strike King Baby Shad here, and here what I did was I got a snap because I just really like using snaps with crankbaits. But here, as you can see, I've got a lot more room between the bait, the end of the beads and the blade. Here truly I want it to look like this swim bait is chasing after a prey. So you get a big bass or muskie coming after the swim bait. They think it's vulnerable because it's honed in on that prey, and hopefully that'll bring in more fish. Like I said, I haven't played at all with this one. This is something I came up with this winter, but really looking forward to give it a try. So yeah, let me know if you give this rig a try out on the water. I've had some success with it, and looking forward to putting this rig into play more often next year. Tight lines.